don't believe me, I'm in this for life. I mean, we'll have 20, 40, 60, 80 plus years go by, and this video will still be valid, the information of In the Image Clothing Company, as long as we're aligning it with the truth of God, which is that we didn't design the human being, and there's only one way it could ever work. Yeah, so there's only one way it could ever work. That's what I'm saying. It'll never change. It never has. It never will. It never has, and it never will. And it never has, and it never will. There's only one way the human body could ever work, okay? Yeah. We have to bring food to our mouth, though, okay? Because we've got to keep our rib cage open to breathe. We have to keep our spine neutral to stabilize our head. It's on top of our spine. We have to keep our jaw hinging, open and closed, neutral, which is stabilizing our entire body, and also just allowing our teeth to mesh to actually chew. There's only one way this happens. It's mechanics. The human being. There's only one way it could ever possibly work. No opinion. No opinion. I'll say it a third time. No opinion. Don't believe me. We have to bring food to our mouth. And so if you are sitting at a chair, I mean, do all you can to not really. It's very hard to have your body work sitting in a chair. It's so terribly damaging. You've got weight on your hamstrings, the rear of your upper legs, and it deactivates those muscles just because there's weight pressing into them. The chair is pressing into the hamstring muscle. We sit on our sit bones, the ischiums, the bottom of the hips or the pelvis, you know, right above those glute muscles, the actual bone of the pelvis. That's what we sit on naturally, like on the ground or on something very low, where our hamstring muscles, these big long muscles on the rear of our upper leg, aren't being cut into by a chair height position that we would never sit on until we started making chair height things as human beings. It's an invention of human beings, if you will. Like that height, it's decided that that's a common height for a chair. You know, the height of chairs are almost always the same height. But people aren't, you know. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Golly. Yeah, one size fits the really tall guy. Like I was saying, that episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, the taller you are, you can get your hamstrings off a chair easier, you know. Man, it's crazy. It's just truth. I don't get to decide these things. Truth, anything. I don't get to decide anything, really. I mean, nobody does, is what I'm saying. Truth is truth. You have to bring food to your mouth. You can't take your mouth to the food. You'll just see people and you're sitting at a table, and that's what's hard about it, is things will fall off your spoon with gravity. Things will fall off your fork with gravity. Vehicles will drive by when you're filming a video, if you're doing it outside and there's vehicles driving by. It's just what happens. And then there's noise is the point for the audio of the video. That's the only reason it's even being addressed by me right now, okay? Anyway. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's ideal for you to be able to hear the words I'm speaking in this video. That's why I'm speaking them under video, okay? Is to document truth. Here's the thing. I don't get to decide this. You can't sit in a chair and eat naturally. Not really. Unless you grab the plate or food that, you know, in a bowl or whatever it is that you have, and bring it up to you like this in one of your hands. And then if you've got a fork or a spoon, maybe in the other hand, and now you're holding your food like right next to your chest, basically, right under your chin, right under your lower jawbone called your mandible, and then you take your other hand and you grab it, you know, the spoon or the fork, and you get the food from right here, right underneath your jaw, and then you just lift it up and put it into your mouth. Now your shoulders are fairly neutral and your spine's fairly neutral. And your jaw's fairly neutral, and your head's fairly neutral, and your wrists are fairly neutral, and, you know, here you go, you know, but that's awkward to do, physically awkward. It's hard. It's physically uncomfortable to do that. To grab a bowl or a plate and put it all the way up here right under your mouth with one hand, and then have the utensil in the other hand, and then have just like a few inches from the bowl or plate to your mouth, like this, just basically straight up from the bowl or plate to your mouth opening, I mean, that's uncomfortably physically awkward. It feels weird. It's not easy to do. You're still having to breathe, but now your arms are like this, you know, which I don't even know how to explain what I mean by this. It's just, it's weird, you know, physically weird. No matter what anyone thinks about you while you're doing it, I mean, it feels physically strange to do. It's like, well, this is not very easy, because the point is, it's not just how I'm doing it right here standing up. You're sitting in a chair. And so the mechanics of your body, from your feet up to your hips and then up through your spine, is already all out of whack. Meaning just altered, okay, is what I'm saying, physically altered, because your spine has this natural curve in it. And you can't even lift your arms up like to your mouth. If the natural curve in your spine is taken away, you'll just get pinching and binding of mechanical bone on bone clashing in your shoulder joint. Okay, your scapulas or your shoulder blades will hit into your rib cage, and your humerus, which is your upper arm bone, will hit the top of your scapula, the acromion. The collarbone angle or the clavicle will be altered if your spine is altered. Your spine's position will be altered if you're sitting in a chair and there's weight on your hamstrings that deactivates the muscle, because the body has opposing activations through the hips. Muscles pull up in the front of the hips with muscles pulling down in the rear of the hips to do a posterior rotation of the pelvis, or muscles pull down in the front of the hips and up in the rear of the hips to do an anterior rotation of the pelvis. There's just this crossing through the hips when it comes to the activation of musculature, and sitting in a chair, that just doesn't happen. It deactivates your muscles, and your pelvis just goes anterior. Now you can't even lift your arms because your shoulders bind up. I was almost gargling saliva like that in that position, because that's what I'm saying. And then it changes the position of your trachea and your esophagus, you know, the tubes in your throat. It changes the position of your jaw and the position of your skull angle. You know, we've got a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled "Looking Down Opposes Bad Posture." And seen with context, it's the case. Looking down as far as actually pivoting the whole skull down at the base of the skull, which is the top of the spine. You know, the top of that cervical spine comes right into the base of the skull. And if we pivot down on the skull, now we're actually more vertical, more neutral. It straightens the spine. But if you sit in a chair, ow, yikes, uncomfortable is how it will feel. You know, your neck will just curve forward. Your cervical spine, it already curves forward a little bit, but it'll curve excessively forward. Just like the hips already bend backward, okay, with the body's opposing bends on Earth's vertical gravity pull to stay vertical, these even mathematical opposing bends that it's impossible to train to, because mathematics, you know, work how they do. And only, right? Truth. Yeah, truth. There's only truth to life. I don't get to decide it. Neither do you, though, so you're not going to ever train your body. It's impossible. It's physically impossible. Don't believe me. But don't I discuss things so thoroughly in a way that there's no possible dispute? Yes, I do. As the founder of In The Image Clothing Company is the point, me, Evan Strong, in this for life to lead it. I have no opinion on these things. Well, you know, I'm imperfect, but, right? You see what I mean? These things are what these things are. I'm discussing them. I can discuss them not so correct, but they still are what they are, even if I wasn't here to say anything about them. Truth is truth. It's apart from all of us. This is the truth, is its mechanics. The human being, you have to bring food up to your mouth because it's hard to not drop things.